Hello class 8 students, welcome everyone. So in this video we are going to discuss about the factors affecting friction, right? So we'll begin from activity 12.2. So in this activity you need to take a spring balance, okay? You need to take a spring balance. As you can see from the figure, this is the spring balance, right? What is a spring balance? First of all, you see, spring balance is a device which is used for measuring force acting on an object. Okay, spring balance is a device used for measuring the force acting on an object, and it consists of a coiled spring. As you can see from this is the hook on the other end of the spring balance, and inside the spring balance there is a coil of spring. Okay, there is a coil of spring which will get stretched when we stretch from this hook. When we stretch the hook, okay, then the spring inside the spring balance will also get stretched, right? So it consists of a coiled spring which gets stretched when a force is applied to it. From where will apply the force? From the other end of the spring balance, that is from the hook of the spring balance will apply the force. Okay. Stretching of the spring is measured by a pointer moving on a graduated scale. As you can see from here, this is the pointer. Okay, so when we stretch the hook, then the spring will also get stretched and the pointer will also get stretched, and it will get marked on the readings of the spring. Okay, readings of the spring balance. Okay, so this pointer will help to determine the actual force on the scale of the spring balance. Okay, so stretching of the spring is measured by a pointer moving on a graduated scale, and the reading on the scale gives the magnitude of the force. Okay, so this is about spring balance. Now let us see what is given in this activity. One thing you remember, that if there is a larger stretching of the spring, then there will be greater magnitude of the force applied. Okay, if there is a larger stretching, if stretching is larger, okay, if stretching is more, then large force. Okay, if stretching is more, then force will be larger, the magnitude of the force will be larger. Clear? Okay. Now activity 12.2, you have to tie a string around a brick. Okay, in this activity you need a spring balance. As you can see from the figure, you need a string and you need a brick also. Okay, so you have to tie a string around a brick, and the other end of the string is also attached with the hook of the spring balance, as you can see from the figure. Okay, so first of all you need to place a brick on the floor, then you have to tie a string, say a thread. Okay, a strong thread you need to take. Okay, you need to tie a thread or a string around the brick like this. Okay, then you have to connect the string to the hook of a spring balance. Okay, then you have to apply a pulling force to the brick by pulling the other end of the spring balance by the hand. Okay, you have to pull the brick from the other end of the spring balance by your hand, or by our hand we can do it. So then what happens? The brick will begin to move, right? The brick will begin to slide, the brick will begin to move slowly on the floor. Okay, then you will see the reading on the spring balance. You will watch the reading on the spring balance when the brick begins to move. Okay, so this reading of the spring balance will give us the magnitude of the force of friction between the surface of the floor and the surface of the brick. Are you getting it? When we stretch it, when we pull the spring balance from this other end, okay, then the brick will begin to move, right? The brick will begin to move to this side. Okay, the brick will begin to move, or the brick will begin to slide. So at that time you have to note the reading on the spring balance. Okay, this reading will give the magnitude of the force of friction between the surface of the floor, and the surface of the brick. Why? Because they are in contact with each other. Clear? So you need to apply some force. Note down the reading on the spring balance when the brick just begins to move. It gives you a measure of the force of friction between the surface of the brick and the floor. Now you have to wrap a piece of polythene around the brick and repeat the same activity. Okay, you have to cover the brick by using a polythene bag, or say polythene, and you have to repeat the same thing again. Okay, so what will find? Do you observe any difference in the readings of the spring balance in the above two cases? Yes. See, at this time we will find that the reading of the spring balance is smaller than the reading of the spring balance when there was no polythene bag used. Okay, so this indicates that the force of friction has decreased. Decreased, which concludes that wrapping of polythene bag or polythene sheet makes the surface of brick smooth. Right? If we wrap, or if we cover this brick using a polythene bag, then it will make the surface of the brick smooth, due to which the friction of the floor, or the friction between the floor, decreases. Okay, so the reading here will get decreased. Clear? So what might be the reason? I've mentioned already that with wrapping of the polythene bag or the polythene sheet around the brick, it will make the surface of the brick smooth, due to which the friction with the floor decreases. Okay, so from this activity we learned that when the surface of the brick is made more smooth by wrapping polythene sheet, then the friction with the floor decreases. Okay, so thus friction depends on the nature of the two surfaces. Okay, friction depends on nature of surfaces. Okay, either the surfaces can be smooth, or either the surface can be rough. Right? Surfaces can be smooth or surfaces can be rough. Friction depends on the smoothness or roughness of the two surfaces. Clear? Now let us see activity 12.3. So you have to make an inclined plane. Okay, you have to make an inclined plane on a smooth floor or on a table. As you can see from the figure 12.4 here, these two boys have made an inclined plane on the floor, on a smooth floor. Okay, they have used a cardboard, okay, or you can use a book also so as to make an inclined plane. Right? They have marked A. Okay, in this position they have marked A. So make an inclined plane on a smooth floor or on a table. You may use a wooden board supported by bricks or books. So you can use a board which is supported by bricks or books, like this. They have used a wooden board, and it is supported by some books. Okay, so as to make an inclined plane. Okay, put a mark with a pen at any point A on the inclined plane. As I have shown you already, they have marked position A on the inclined plane. Now let a pencil cell move down from this point. See, from this point they have placed a pencil cell. Okay, that means battery, as we say generally. Okay, they have placed a pencil cell in this position, and it is allowed to roll, right? It is allowed to roll. So now let a pencil cell move down from this point. How far does it move on the table before coming to rest? How far does this pencil cell move? It is moved from this position to this, right? How far does it move on the table before coming to rest? Note down the distance. You have to note down the distance. Now you have to spread a piece of cloth over the table. Make sure that there are no wrinkles in the cloth. Try the activity again, right? See, over the floor or over the surface of the table you have to place a cloth, right? And you have to repeat the same activity. That means you have to again allow the pencil cell from this position A, and you have to allow it to move through the inclined plane and through the surface of the table. Okay, now at this position or at this time, how far does this pencil cell move? It has moved at a minimum distance of this, right? Which is lesser than the previous one. Okay, so repeat this activity by spreading a thin layer of sand over the table. Maintain the same slope throughout the activity. So in which case is the distance covered the minimum? In which case? In case of sand, when we placed a layer of sand over the table, and when we repeated the same activity, okay, in that case the distance covered by the pencil cell is minimum. Why? Because spreading of the spreading of the sand will make the surface of the table what? Smooth or rough? It will make the surface of the table rough. Okay, it will make the surface of the table rough. Why? Because the pencil cell here in this case travels less distance on the surface of the table, which is covered by sand. Okay, which indicates that the friction exerted by the rough surface of the sand on the surface of the pencil cell is more, right? It is more. The friction exerted by the rough surface of the sand over the surface of the pencil cell is more. Okay, so from this activity we will see that when the surface of the floor is smooth, in which case it was a smooth, when we did not place any materials. Okay, when it was plain, when it was smooth completely, when we did not place any material, either say cloth or either say sand, in that case the surface of the table was smooth, right? So the friction with the pencil cell decreases in that time. The friction with the pencil cell was less. Okay, the friction with the pencil cell was less. But on the other hand, when we placed cloth, okay, it made the surface of the table a little rough. Okay, so in that case the friction increases a little bit, right? So in that time the distance covered by the pencil cell was less. And when we spread it or when we covered the table with the sand, then it made the surface more rough, right? So in that case the distance covered by the pencil cell again decreases more. Okay, so thus from this activity again it is we can refer to that friction depends on the nature of the surfaces. Okay, friction depends on the nature of the two surfaces. Okay, and the nature of the two surfaces can be smooth or rough. Clear? So what is written here? Does the distance covered depend on the nature of the surface on which the cell moves? Right? The distance covered depends on the nature of the surface. Okay, and the surface can be smoothness or smooth or rough. Okay, could the smoothness of the surface of the cell also affect the distance traveled by it? Yes, the friction depends on what? Smoothness and roughness of the surfaces. Okay, clear? So what is the cause of friction now? What is the cause of friction? Friction is caused by the interlocking of irregularities in the surfaces of the two objects which are in contact with each other. Okay, every object has a rough surface. Okay, every object has a rough surface. Okay, and it may seem smooth to the naked eye if we generally see the surface. Even if we see the smooth surface, then it will appear smooth to us. Okay, even if we see the surface of a smooth table of smooth surface of the table, then it may appear smooth to the naked eye, but it contains a large number of irregularities in it. Okay, when we see through a microscope, then it will be found that the surface of all the objects have a rough edges. Okay, some of the particles on the surface of objects are in the form of tiny hills. Okay, and these are called what? Irregularities. These are called irregularities of the surfaces. So when we try to move one object over another object, the irregularities present on their surface get entangled or locked with one another. Okay, so the interlocking of irregularities of the two surfaces opposes the motion of one another, right? Opposes the motion of one object over the other object, and it will give rise to the force of friction. Okay, so friction is caused by the irregularities on the two surfaces in contact. Okay, even those surfaces which appear very smooth have a large number of minute irregularities in them, which is referring to the figure 12.5. As you can see from the table, this figure, this table is very smooth, right? But it also contains large number of minute irregularities like this. Okay, so even the smooth surface also contains large number of irregularities, minute irregularities on them. Okay, and the irregularities on the two surfaces lock into one another. Due to the irregularities of the two surfaces, the two surfaces will lock into one another when they attempt to move. Okay, so when we attempt to move any surface, we have to apply a force to overcome the interlocking. Okay, when we attempt to move any surface, we have to apply a force so as to overcome the interlocking. So rough surfaces, there are larger number of irregularities. Okay, on rough surfaces there are large number of irregularities. So the force of friction is greater if a rough surface is involved. So in this activity we can conclude that the sand, the pieces of sand, it contains large number of irregularities. So in that case the force of friction will be greater, and thus the pencil cell covered minimum distance or the least distance in that case. Clear? Okay, so with this we can say that friction is caused by the interlocking of irregularities in the two surfaces. Okay, friction is caused by the interlocking of irregularities in the two surfaces. Clear? And it is obvious that the force of friction will increase if the two surfaces are pressed harder. So now it is obvious that the force of friction will increase if the two surfaces are pressed harder. Okay, you can experience it by dragging a mat when nobody is sitting on it. When nobody is sitting on it, you can drag a mat, and when a person is sitting on it, then also you can drag a mat. So in which case you will find it easier to drag a mat? When there is no one sitting on it, right? In that case you will find it easier to drag a mat, right? So it is obvious that friction will increase if the two surfaces are pressed harder. Recall your experience when last time you moved a heavy box from one place to another? If you have no such experience, get that experience now. What is easier, to move the box from rest or to move it when it is already in motion? What is easier? It is easier to move the box which is already in motion, right? It is easier to move the box which is already in motion, because to move the box which is at rest you need to apply greater force. Okay, so the force required to overcome friction at the instant an object starts moving from rest is a measure of static friction. Are you getting it? That means the maximum frictional force present between any two objects when one object tends to move or slip over the surface of the other object is called static friction. Static friction is a kind of starting friction. Static friction is a kind of starting friction, because an object just tends to move. Okay, an object just tends to start moving. Okay, it does not actually move. Okay, it just tends to start moving. Okay, so the object remains static or stationary in this case. Are you getting it? Are you getting it? So we can say that the force required to overcome friction, the force which is required to overcome friction at the instant an object just tends to start moving from rest is a measure of static friction. And static friction comes into play when we try to move a stationary object which is at rest. Okay, so suppose this boy is trying to move this heavy box which is at rest. So at the instant he is just trying to move the box, right? So he is just trying to or just tending to move the box which is at rest. That is the measure of static friction. Okay, and you should understand that in case of static friction the object is actually not moving or sliding. Okay, the object is not moving over the other object, it only tends to move or slide. Okay, so you have understood about static friction. It is the maximum frictional force present between any two objects when one object just tends to move over the surface of the other object. Okay, and on the other hand the force required to keep the object moving with the same speed is a measure of sliding friction, right? The frictional force present when one object moves slowly or slides over the surface of another object is known as sliding friction. And the sliding friction comes into play when an object is moving slowly or sliding and continuously over another object. Clear? So when the box starts sliding, the contact points on its surface do not get enough time to lock into the contact points on the floor, right? When the box starts sliding, the contact points on its surface, the contact points which is present on the surface of the box do not get enough time to lock into the contact points which is present on the surface of the floor. So this sliding friction is slightly smaller than the static friction. If we compare the two types of friction, which is greater, we can say that static friction is greater. That means sliding friction is smaller than static friction, and it is easier to keep an object moving which is already in motion than to move the same object from stationary position or from rest. Okay, clear? So when an object has already started moving or sliding, the irregularities on its surface do not get enough time to lock into the irregularities on the surface of the other object. Since the interlocking of the two objects or say the interlocking of the two surfaces is less, then Therefore, the sliding friction is smaller than the static friction, and we'll find it somewhat easier to move the box already in motion than to get it started. Okay, so this completes your cause of friction. Okay, then say factors affecting friction. Okay, and the two types of friction also we have discussed, that is static friction and sliding friction. Clear? So yes, I'll conclude the video today with this, and that's all for today. Thank you and have a nice day.